Meet Zach Draker. He was born into the Draker household, a family of legendary dragon slayers. But before Zach could live up to his family title, his family deemed him unfit. They wanted a swordsman, but Zach turned out to be a curse healer, a boy no one cared about. In search of power, Zach wandered the continents and finally reached an ancient relic, a treasure even the Emperor desired. But in the end, soldiers sent by the Emperor captured him. His injuries were so severe that even his healing magic was ineffective. However, fate had something else in store. That ancient relic triggered an upgrade system that sent him back to a younger age. With this new ancient power, his real journey began at the Draker household's training institution, the Cradle. Before delving into Zach's story, it's essential to understand his family background. The Draker family is renowned because of three great transcendental dragon slayers: Terran, the hero who saved the world thousands of years ago by defeating the evil dragon Butt. Terran's victory laid the foundation for the Draker household's fame. Perhaps due to their lineage, every descendant of the Draker bloodline has received Ra's blessing, allowing them to easily unlock high-level Ra and become as powerful as knights. But until Zach came along, everything was fine. Unlike his ancestors, he was born without the ability to use Ra, a deficiency that made him useless in his own family. After regressing, Zach is resting carefree on his bed when a system window shocks him. He immediately goes on high alert and listens carefully. But after scanning the room and finding no one, he thinks he might have just imagined it. Then a few more system windows open. One of these system windows provides the most interesting detail. It announces that Zach's soul has received the will of an elder dragon and has fully become a part of his soul. Soon, Zach also gains authority over a part of the system. As the activation completes, his eyesight fills with system windows. The first window shows his overall stats, his class, skills, and a unique skill category called Draconian Skills. This skill will only unlock when he accumulates 10 points, but currently his karma points are 0. Curious, he starts playing with the system and soon understands how to use it. The most important thing shown in the administration status window is his class skill. His curiosity stems from the fact that the term class skills is from the Draconic language, which isn't used in this era. He had heard about it from his master. According to his master, people in the ancient world were classified according to their strengths. Each class had specialized techniques called skills. Zach's class is healer, so his skill is healing. After Zach awakens, his master, who is a woman, puts him through such harsh training that he reaches death's door. Her training methods were unconventional, and he still remembers the unbearable pain she inflicted on him so he could heal it no matter what. Zach decides to verify if he is truly a healer as the system says. When he activates his powers, he realizes he really is a healer. He's shocked because in his past life, he became a healer at 20 when his Ether Hall unlocked. Since he can't use his healing ability without the Ether Hall, this means his Ether Hall is already unlocked. This is good news. Not only has he returned to the past with all his memories, but his skills have come back with him, putting him in even more advantageous position. He decides to explore the system further to find out what other surprises are in store. Someone called his name and knocked on the door. Immediately, he tries to push the system windows to the sides so no one can see them. But the impatient visitor enters the room without waiting for a response. The boy who entered is Zach's exclusive servant, Decker. Obviously, he has come to check if his young master is ready for the upcoming event. Zach has no idea what he needs to be ready for. The young master forgetting this special day makes the butler even angrier. On the other hand, Zach remembers that in his past life, he was always afraid of Decker. Even though his mind is that of a 32-year-old, his subconscious can't erase the fear ingrained in this body. Just then, a system class skill activates, Composed Mind. Immediately, Zach's trembling and fear on his face completely disappear. Composed Mind is a skill that keeps the user's mental state calm and composed no matter the situation. Zach finds it quite easy because it can activate on its own. Meanwhile, the butler is repeating himself, trying to remind his young master of the importance of the upcoming event. But Zach doesn't respond immediately. After the butler insists a lot, Zach finally starts paying attention and admits that he remembers. He clearly remembers what the evaluation test, known as pancreation, entails. To understand pancreation, a little context is needed. Everyone goes through a training system called the cradle. This training starts at age 7 and lasts for 5 years. Every year, instructors evaluate every incoming student through swordsmanship and combat. Specifically, pancreation is a no-holds-barred combat with no rules. Opponents are typically chosen by the instructors, but sometimes students can choose their own adversaries if both parties agree. Because there are no rules, injuries are common, and sometimes students don't even survive. But since this competition decides which class the students will be placed in at the academy, the children have to fight with their full strength. The day of pancreation finally arrives, and the students gather in the amphitheater. The instructor stands among them and reminds everyone today is pancreation day. It's the final part of their evaluation. All the students listen carefully to the instructor, and their enthusiasm also makes him happy. This man is actually head instructor Panem Mark, and without any delay, he decides to start things. The students notice Zach standing among them. Some students laugh that Zach is here again after last year's humiliation. A duel begins between two students, and one student, Aaron, ends the duel even before it starts, knocking out his opponent with an uppercut. But the other students aren't impressed by this quick fight. Zach remembers that when he was young, he used to be scared of such fights. But compared to what he faced in his past life, this is nothing. Zach waits for his turn. Another student, Leon Conrad, is waiting to duel with Zach. Finally, Zach's turn comes, and his opponent is none other than Leon. While Zach is rubbing his tired eyes, Leon reminds Zach of last year's humiliation. Of course, Zach hasn't forgotten it. He clearly remembers how he apologized to Leon. Those memories are painful, but now he is in the past. Leon has always been Zach's opponent, and Zach knows him well, how he is a dirty player and what a worthless family he comes from. For Zach, even a biting dog is better than Leon. In his past life, Zach never met his 400-step siblings, but he had many cousins, and many of them were ready to bully him. Suddenly, Leon tries to remind Zach again how he ruined him last year. He asks Zach if the humiliation wasn't enough that he shouldn't participate in pancreation. Leon talks a lot, but Zach remains cool as a cucumber, all thanks to his composed mind ability. Even though Zach is calm, his patience has a limit. He can't let anyone talk nonsense about him. Zach's response further triggers Leon, and this time Leon tries to grab his head and push him to the ground. But the result of his foolish move is just a solid punch that sends him flying. This brutal punch was possible due to Zach's critical strike ability. This ability deals significant damage to the opponent and carries the risk of a counter if the attack fails. Luckily, Zach's punch landed perfectly and left no chance for a counterattack. On the other hand, Leon is writhing in pain, holding his face. Zach thinks his aim was just to knock him out, but the ability activated. The instructor immediately comes to attend to the injured brat and scolds Zach for attacking before the match started. But Zach thinks since they are already standing in the arena, why wait for someone's command? The one who strikes first gets the advantage, so he didn't let this chance slip. As he says this, his killer intent is so intense that even the instructor starts trembling. Meanwhile, Leon assures the instructor that everything is fair and asks to start the battle. If he backs down now, it would be too embarrassing for him. As soon as he gets the instructor's signal, Leon quickly runs towards Jack. The result of his speed is a loud punch. This punch doesn't hurt at all. Leon was scared remembering the pain of the first punch, but when he realized that this punch wasn't hurting at all, his foolish confidence increased even more. He thinks that if he stays in a defensive position, Jack will not be a threat to him. Leon immediately notices that Jack is counterattacking with his left hand, so he bends down. In this critical moment, he takes advantage of Jack's vulnerability and tries to grab him and push him to the ground, But suddenly, Lin gets hit so quickly. It seems we too didn't get to see what happened. He starts trembling like a leaf. The instructor is completely baffled too. He can't comprehend that he just saw a 12-year-old child move like that. When Leon dodged Zach's counter and tried to push him down, the instructor was sure Leon would win. But Zach punched Leon in the chin and escaped his grip. Leon's mistake was that he lowered his guard thinking he had caught Zach. But Zach stays cool like a cucumber. The concentration and precision required for such exact and effective damage is a feat. The instructor is wondering if this is really the same Zach Dreeker he knew. On the other hand, that brat is completely shattered after that brutal punch. His mind is scrambled, and before he can even react, he receives another blow that trips him. But he quickly steadies himself and retaliates with his punch. At this critical moment, another of Zach's class skills automatically activates, heightened sense. This skill temporarily enhances his perception. With this skill's help, Zach can see the punch in slow motion at 960 frames per second, making it easy for him to dodge. After the punch passes, Zach grabs Leon's arm and throws him to the ground. The attack is so powerful that even the part of the ground underneath breaks. Another skill activates Pressure Step, which helps Zach target Leon's weak points for critical damage. After pinning Leon to the ground, Zach gets ready to punch. Poor Leon begs him to stop, but Zach punches anyway, landing it directly on his face. At this ruthlessness, the instructor and the spectators are surprised. The final hit seems very satisfying, and after this small battle, Zach feels a sense of relief. He is happy that after this show, his other cousins will think twice before bothering him. But if they dare to do anything, Zach will shut them up permanently. But it seems all this wasn't enough to instill fear in these bastards. A foolish jackass challenges Zach and chooses him as his pancreation opponent. Zach doesn't care. He feels if the jackass comes alone, he'll be bored. So he suggests to the jackass that he bring some more students along to make things more interesting. Zach calls another student Liam Stone and suggests he join the jackass. Obviously, Liam is just the jackass's lackey. This suggestion is like a slap in the face for the jackass. The idea that he needs someone's help to fight someone as weak as Zach is unbearable for him. But Zach keeps pushing his buttons, which infuriates this trash even more. The jackass is now waiting to crush Zach. When both contestants are standing in the arena, the instructor warns Zach this time not to move before the command. But it seems the jackass has brought his servant along, which makes Zach even happier. After all, in Zach's past life, Liam held the reputation of an exceptional fighter and had even acquired the title of Mason King. Being the jackass's servant, Liam had joined Cradle Academy, but being a distant relative, his education was neglected. He tried his best to get admission into the academy for higher education, but ultimately, from a small nation, Barampur Kal, Liam rose to prominence as a Red Knight and eventually laid the foundation of stonemasonry. He united the three largest Mason groups and acquired the title of Mason King. When the Empire hired stonemason, Liam joined the Continental Verse where Zach and Northern S faced him as a powerful enemy. But this time, Zach has decided to create a completely different future for himself. When the instructor gives the signal, the jackass confidently steps forward and throws a punch that disturbs the air currents. But Zach blocks that punch by catching it without even looking, as if nothing happened. The jackass immediately throws Zach's hand away and confronts him with his kick. But this kick backfires on him. When it connects, he feels immense pain. It turns out he hit Zach's strong barrier that had formed around his elbow, and this severely damaged the jackass's leg. While the jackass is looking at his injured leg, Zach immediately advances, activates his skill, and gets ready to punch. Poor jackass tries to protect his face, but Zach's aim wasn't to punch his face. Zach punches him in the ribs, forcing him to cough up a lot of ketchup. This overconfident fellow finally falls to the ground, having lost his pride and courage. Enraged, he orders his sidekick to hit Zach. Now Zach faces Liam, and this is giving off serious killing vibes. Liam's long reach is a serious disadvantage for Zach, so Zach decides to attack first. He gets ready and throws some punches using the slash skill. Zack moves so fast that only his shadows are visible, throwing punches one after another. This skill completely ruins the enemy's vision. The people standing nearby watching are feeling real fear. They are shocked seeing Zack's performance. Zack knows they are curious and confused because they have never seen anything like this before. In a society where everyone fights with swords, seeing a fighter's fist-fighting technique is a rare thing, no matter how amazing this ability is. But it also puts a lot of strain on Zack's body. However, the biggest challenge is Liam's monster physique. He isn't doing any counterattacks or dodges. He's just enduring everything with his guard up. Zack knows he isn't dealing the right damage, so he prepares a final powerful strike that should be enough to break Leon's guard. But when Zack strikes, Liam changes the direction of the attack and dodges it without any difficulty. Zack gets even angrier because Liam didn't even blink, as if nothing happened. The next moment, Liam seizes the opportunity and lifts Zack into the air, preparing to slam him to the ground. But Zack doesn't let that happen. He immediately strikes Liam on the head. His class skill Heightened Sense activates, and using this advantage, he locks Liam in a deadly neck hold, cutting off his oxygen supply. No matter how strong Liam's body is, without oxygen, his brain becomes powerless. But it seems Zack overestimated himself. Liam doesn't give up. He confronts it and lands powerful blows one after another. Due to the consecutive punches, Zack is forced to cough up blood. But finally, Liam's body starts giving up. His strength decreases and he faints due to a lack of oxygen. People are astonished watching the battle, but among them, there is a particular student who, instead of being troubled, feels excited and can't wait to fight Zack. After the prankration day ends, Zack returns to his quarters where his servant asks about his well-being. He had heard that Zack got badly injured in the matches. Zack says he's perfectly fine, but the butler insists on checking his pulse to verify that everything is all right. Zack understands that the old man just wants to see if he has awakened his Ra. Finally, Zack extends his hand towards the servant, who immediately sends blue energy from his hand into Zack. Seeing this blue energy, Zack stops and wonders if his servant is really a blue knight. This is because when someone's aura is checked, people usually check the Dantian. Transferring Ra into someone else's body is difficult in itself, but this old man having this precise control suggests he is a blue knight. Obviously, not all knights are the same. They are classified based on their martial arts techniques and aura manipulation proficiency. White swordsman is the novice level, and before the blessing, all children are white swordsmen. Yellow swordsman is the level you achieve when your aura awakens and your Dantian opens. All trainees at Cradle become yellow swordsmen after the blessing. When you learn to freely control aura, you earn the title of knight. Purple knight level is when you can reinforce your sword with Ra, while blue knight level is when you can create Ra blades yourself. Beyond this, those who have transcended their limits are called red knights, like Mason King Liam, which Zack had achieved before his regression. Then there is Black Knight, but there are only a few such monsters in the entire continent. Despite all this, Zack wonders if how his servant, who is clearly worthy of being a commander, became his babysitter. But he's completely sure that this man cannot detect his ether, which only 2 people in the world can use. Finally, the old man finishes his examination and asks his young master in a firm tone if he is hiding something. Zack acts cool, says he knows nothing, and asks the butler, "Do you know anything?" The butler reports that the training room Zack requested is already ready. Zack, happy to hear this, sends the old man off to rest. When Zack is walking alone, he has a fear that perhaps the butler was sent to keep an eye on him. To avoid this, he decides to keep the butler close by so that he can manipulate the old man and extract necessary information. Zack also needs to figure out who ordered the butler to watch him. He knows no one from his mother's side would do such a thing, so this task could only have been ordered by his brothers and sisters. It can be. When Zack enters the personal training room, he is stunned to see the luxury there, which further enhances the grandeur of that house. Before starting the training, he decides to check the system. The system panel appears before him, and he sees that his slash skill proficiency has reached 10. He doesn't understand how this happened, but guesses that perhaps by using skills repeatedly, they level up. The slash skill activates naturally according to his actions, and he doesn't need to do anything special. He realizes that if he learns something new, it could also be added here as a skill. He is still confused about the difference between a skill and a class skill, but he sees that both activate in the same way. Finally, there is the Draconian skill, but it can't be used yet because it requires 10 points to unlock. He presses that option and the next system window tells him that he can earn karma points by killing monsters, which he currently has 0 of. Speaking of monsters, Zack thinks that dungeons have many monsters, but to reach them, he needs to at least reach the Purple Knight level. For now, he doesn't understand how he returned to the past, what this system is, or what the difference between skills and class skills is. His sixth sense tells him that this might all be connected to that ancient relic, but he isn't sure because he doesn't have enough information to connect everything. Regardless, he picks up his sword and decides that he will use his full strength to become stronger, whether it's the system or the Draker lineage. In this world, 2 powers are known. One is the Knight's aura, and the other is the Mage's mana. Knights reinforce their aura in Dandian, while mages refine their mana through circles. These 2 powers are separate, meaning if someone awakens one power, they cannot awaken the other. But Zack was unlucky. He awakened neither Dandian nor Circle. This is why people considered Zack useless and forced him to wander until he met his master. During his vagabond days, his master taught him many things, but the most valuable lesson was the art of healing and Ether Hall. Ether Hall is a unique technique developed by his master. Through this technique, Zack learned to harness the energy of nature, ether. To this day, he and his master are the only 2 ether users in this world. After just 2 hours of training, Zack feels like he is about to faint, but his class skill, Healing, activates, and along with it, another class skill, Vigor Recovery, also activates. Healing is a very rare skill that Zack didn't know about before meeting his master. If anyone saw him using this skill, they would label him an IR regular. That's why he didn't use the skill while fighting Liam and only healed himself after returning to his room. When his body fully recovers, he continues practicing. He knows he cannot waste a single moment. By morning, Zack looks completely exhausted. After training non-stop all night, the entire hall is proof of his hard work with deep marks from sweat and soda on the floor. Sometime later, a week passes, and we find ourselves in the Cradle cafeteria. There, Zack overhears some students talking about him. They think he has become a completely different person because he is a band loser. They think that perhaps Zack has dabbled in black magic. On the other hand, in a private lounge, all the big shot students are having dinner. First is Rena, who is eating steak. Then Owen says gymnodium ships will need energy for the duel. But Leon gets irritated for no reason and slams the table so hard that his juicy steak falls to the ground. Because of this table slam, Rena's steak also flies off her plate and falls, making her absolutely furious. Rena's anger finally cools Leon down a bit. Obviously, these 4 students hate Zack, so it's no surprise that they are together. But even though they are in the same group, they don't have good coordination. Hatred for Zack is what binds them together. Owen believes that Zack was very brave and impressive in the pancration, but he is sure that Zack will lose in the swordsmanship duel. As far as he knows, Zack doesn't even know how to hold a sword properly, so he is no threat to anyone. One of the students also says that Zack is so weak that he had to get a custom sword made on request because regular swords were too heavy for him. Still, for Leon, it's hard to understand how he lost to that gutter worm. He thinks Zack only won the pancration out of luck. But it seems that Rena doesn't agree with them. If they really believe this nonsense, then none of them deserve to become a knight of the Draker household. Saying this, she leaves the room. Before the day of the duel, it's important to know and understand a few things. Unlike pancration, sword duels use real swords, which cause the most incidents at Cradle. This is where the difference in the cadet skills becomes clearly visible. A month after the final exams, the Blessing Rite will begin, the event where Drakers awaken their aura. The day of the duel has finally arrived, and the instructor orders Zack to come forward. Our hero comes to the stage completely relaxed, carrying a giant sword on his shoulder. This sword is even bigger than him. Everyone laughs upon seeing it, thinking Zack believes a bigger sword is better, and that it will give him some advantage. From the other side, Rena arrives, looking very angry and challenges Zack. Our hero is fully ready to accept this challenge, and says yes without any delay. Rena doesn't like that Zack is lifting the claymore so easily. Now that she is seeing him face to face, she realizes that this is not the same Zack she knew. The Zack who couldn't even hold a sword properly now has a presence so profound that Reina starts to feel nervous. But she quickly composes herself. She gets angry at herself for even thinking of being afraid of Zack. Now backing down is not an option, especially since Reina issued the challenge herself. On the other hand, Zack is also feeling nervous. He knows that his usual techniques won't work in this duel because fighting against Lightning Knight Reina Turn is no joke. It's inviting death. Reina Turn, whom everyone in Zack's past life knew as the Lightning Knight. Reina made her name for herself in the Continental Wars and came to be recognized as one of the greatest of the next generation of Drakers. She is one of those rare people who awakened her aura before the Blessing Rite. Zack remembers that Reina awakened her aura a few years ago, but she hasn't used it at Cradle because she was focusing on improving her fundamentals. As soon as the signal for the duel to begin is given, the two contestants clash their swords. After the first clash, Reina steps back and attacks him again. With one strike, she pushes Zack back. Just from these two strikes, Zack understands that Reina is even better than he expected. Reina attacks him again, swinging her sword as fast as she can, illuminating the area with sparks. In the background, her friends are panicking, telling her to finish Zack in a single strike. But one wiser student reminds these idiots that Reina isn't playing with Zack, it's Zack who is pushing her back. From her perspective, she can clearly see the mistakes in Zack's attacks, but every time she tries to take advantage of them and attack, her sword is blocked by Zack's sword, as if he is intentionally showing her these mistakes and playing with her. What makes her even angrier is that when he blocks an attack, he deliberately leaves another mistake so that Reina will strike at it. It seems this duel isn't to win, but to teach Reina a lesson. After a few attacks, Reina finally steps back, completely exhausted. She wants a little time to catch her breath, but there is not a single drop of sweat or fatigue on Zack's face. In fact, he looks bored. He isn't that impressed with Reina's performance. Reina is fighting completely honestly without using any aura, but this is no surprise because she considers everyone weak. Now that they are fighting, Zack decides to help her and get her out of this competition. He deliberately takes a low stance, as if he is going to close the gap in one move. Reina is confident in her speed and doesn't pay much attention to it. But in an instant, Zack closes the gap and appears right in front of her, not giving Reina any chance to react. He swings his sword so hard that the force from his giant blade cracks the ground. On the other hand, Reina was sure that as long as there was distance between them, she could react to his moves. Zack swings his sword in the air, but his aim was not to hit her. Rather, the stones flung by the force of his swing hit her in the face, injuring her nose. The next moment, Zack attacks him with his heavy sword. When she sees that the shiny blade is just a few centimeters from her neck, she thinks her game is over. But surprisingly, Zack's sword suddenly flies into the air and lands a few feet away. With this, the crowd declares Zack the loser and congratulates Reina for winning without using aura. But the instructor knows this isn't true. He panics as if he just found out he has more than one father. The cadets hadn't noticed that when Zack's attack came close to Reina, he used a very small amount of aura, so little that it was barely noticeable. The fact that Zack forced her to use her aura, even though she had promised not to use aura until entering the academy, is absolutely shocking. As Reina stands there, the frustration is clearly visible on her face. She regrets breaking her promise. Just then, Zack makes a fist and attacks her, striking her throat, reminding her that it's not over yet. Reina falls to her knees and ketchup flows from her mouth. One of the friends sitting in the cafeteria, a coward, becomes absolutely furious upon seeing this because this was a sword duel, and he cannot tolerate Zack's cheap attack. Everyone points fingers at Zack, shaming him and calling him shameless. But Zack isn't bothered by this at all. He calmly asks Reina if she wants to continue. Reina, on the other hand, admits that she hasn't lost yet and thinks that Zack only struck because she wasn't paying attention to the fight. But when she thinks about it, she realizes that if Zack had a knife in his hand, she would be dead by now. Because of this, she honestly admits defeat. When the crowd, which was mocking Zack just a while ago, sees this, they are stunned. Zack Draker, whom until a few days ago, Humans were given the label calm. Now, one of the most talented children of the famous houses is Raina Toon. The fact that the Lightning Knight lost is absolutely unbelievable for everyone. The scene now shifts to Abel's castle, where a deadly battle has just ended, leaving behind a scene drenched in blood. William witnesses this horrific scene and cannot understand how Abel is calmly drinking tea without any tension. Abel's attention is now on a letter which mentions Jack Drake's victory against Raina, the prodigy. He gets up and asks how much time is left until the blessing rite, because there is still plenty of time until the full moon. Abel thinks it would be right to visit the Drake family. Hearing this, William is shocked that he's going himself, but the Sodmaster is becoming curious about Jack's awakening. When Jack's victory surprised everyone else in the cradle, Jack didn't pay much attention to his achievement and just went back to his training, refusing to celebrate the victory. A month passed, and finally the day of the blessing rite arrived. Jack still could not understand how he had become a red knight in his original life, especially when he had such a poor body. After finishing his training, he commanded the status window to open. His mastery skill, as he thought, was at the expert level. Because his mastery skill is at the expert level, he can learn any skill quickly. Because of this, many of his skills are at rank D and E. He has also improved his mastery of the Swift Steps skill, the same skill he used against Raina. Due to his sharp senses, he knows the butler is watching him. Drake informs his master that they are leaving for the event in 2 hours. Jack thinks it's time to get ready. Jack hasn't visited the main state for quite some time. He is now heading towards the Drake family's home, which is on the other end of Troy, while the family's main residence is in the center of the continent. The blessing rite takes place there, where the legend of the Dragon Slayer began. Upon reaching his destination, Jack gets out of the carriage and enters the Dragon's Nest lair. As soon as he enters, Jack sees that everyone here is a VIP, known throughout the continent. Jack knows that some people have been sent here just to observe him. Even knowing all this, Jack feels everything will be fine. But then he spots a man, and seeing him makes his blood boil. That man is none other than Abel, who is shaking someone's hand and saying he had no interest in coming to this event. He came only for one person, and that person is his youngest brother. This man is Abel, the second son of the Drake family, who has been given the nickname the Lion Blade. But he has another famous name, the Butcher Knight. Jack remains alert when facing his elder brother, because he doesn't have many options in the situation. In his previous life, the second son had never observed Jack at the blessing rite. This means Jack's actions have changed the future. Clenching his fist in anger, Jack thinks he won't waste his second life. Soon the blessing rite begins. Aaron is asked to come out as the first warrior. He puts his hand into a mystical pool, which fills his hand with blue essence. It is explained that in every blessing rite ritual, every member of the Drake bloodline awakens their sealed aura, even when they are about to graduate from the cradle. This happens at the age of 12, and Aaron has just become the first example, whereas common knights awaken their aura after the age of 20. This process starts at age 12 for the Drake family. In some people, when they awaken their Ra, they can also awaken a special skill of the Dragon Slayer, along with their Ra, called the Mana Inherent. Interestingly, the mana lamps are reacting harshly and emitting red sparks. Those who acquire Mana Inherent can become as strong as red and black knights. This is called a pure blood awakening. Because of the Mana Inherent trait, candidates have to wear special gloves made by the family. Otherwise, they cannot enjoy a regular life. Raina, who has already undergone the awakening process, wears these special gloves. When someone proves they are a pure blood, they are given the name Drake and are provided financial support and many benefits. People start murmuring when finally the candidate everyone was waiting for comes on stage. Everyone thinks this child's awakening will be even better than Raina's. When Jack stands in front of the G statue, he's amazed at how he's already done all this once before in his previous life. The experience last time was painful for him, but it was the blessing rite that helped him advance in the cradle. That was the day he was humiliated in front of everyone. But now, things have changed. He has the ability to heal, can manipulate ether, and above all, he has become stronger with his abilities. Therefore, he's expecting a lot from the bronze statue. When he puts his hand into the pool, the statue reacts. It starts shaking and then suddenly stops, shocking everyone. This is something that has never happened to any candidate before. Seeing this, even Abel is stunned. When he pulls his hand out, he thinks he had expected too much. Nothing different happened this time either. Because of Abel, he had drawn conclusions in haste and become overconfident. The others are only shocked that the candidate whose awakening everyone was waiting for couldn't awaken his aura. They mock him, saying that despite being a direct descendant, he couldn't awaken. Then the question is raised, how did he defeat Reina? Now everyone thinks that maybe he used some dirty trick, but our hero doesn't care about anyone. He is focused on becoming strong. After experiencing a system error, a voice says hello with an apology. Jack looks confused when the system tells him that crucial information for his class identification is missing. This part of the message catches his attention. The system tells him the input is complete and the terminal has identified the user's talent as a healer. The identification light starts glowing red, an indication of a pure blood awakening. No one can believe that he is starting directly as a red knight. It connects and unlocks the ethereal dragon's blessing within Jack's soul. At this time, Abel is silently watching his brother. All of Jack's awakened talents combine to form a new class, the Immortal. It's difficult for Jack to understand all this, especially when he sees this new unique class. The glow of the golden light enveloping his body draws people's attention. They are noisy, saying they saw a red light from the statue, but now doubts are arising in them. Jack has understood and thinks it's useless to speak in front of them now. They question whether the statue is broken, but then why is the mana lamp still reacting? They don't want to accept that this is a pure blood awakening. Then Abel starts clapping. Mocking the people, he says they have failed to congratulate the new purebloods. He thinks this is a moment to celebrate, not to doubt. Because people cannot speak in front of Abel, they also start clapping. Abel orders gloves to be prepared for Jack. Jack takes the gloves, but he doesn't like them. He leaves the place while Abel thinks Jack is happy. Our hero is getting angry that he got help from Abel. The blessing rite ends, and now there is a celebration party where everyone can enjoy themselves. But Jack is in his Sigma male mindset. He has no intention of going to the party. Jack suddenly stops when a voice calls his name. He hadn't thought that Abel would suddenly appear. Abel wants to know where this child is going and congratulates him with a handshake. Even though he hates his elder brother, refusing the handshake could cause him problems. So, to appear good, he extends his hand. But then a bad memory from his previous life comes to him. For some reason, Jack pulls his hand back and refuses to say a single word. Abel hints at his evil nature and blames his younger brother for this awkward situation. In Jack's mind, he cannot shake hands with the man he considers the worst. Abel doesn't care much. He bids him goodbye and says they will meet again. Jack also confirms that he will meet his brother one day. At the party, many people are talking about the recent awakening of the two pure bloods. No one has yet understood what Jack's golden light meant, because such a thing has never happened before. They are wondering where Jack is because he is nowhere to be seen. We can see Jack, but he's relaxing in a different room. After this strange event, he still cannot understand what happened during the awakening. Speaking of pure blood awakenings, they involved mana inherent, a skill that signifies the Drake family's opposition to dragons, who are considered the source of mana. But most soldiers need mana, and purebloods have to wear special gloves. If Jack is a pureblood awakener, he should have had problems as soon as he took the gloves off. But even after taking them off, he's fine. Seeing this, he opens his status window, which is different from before. Instead of mana inherent, he has a unique skill, mana reflection. Curious, Jack starts reading the details of this skill. He sees that mana reflection creates a distortion field that cancels out nearby mana. It is a skill that does not react to mana lamps because it is not passive. Before the Blessing Rite, he was a rare class healer, but now he's considered a unique immortal, which he cannot understand. The confusion increases when all the graduates from the ceremony acquire a blue aura, which are usually common awakenings. Only Reina was the exception, who received a red pureblood awakening. The same happened with our hero, but ultimately, his awakening turned golden. The system had told him that crucial information for classification was missing. Jack thinks, was the bronze statue measuring his skills during the awakening? When the system gave the statue the necessary information, the statue reacted strongly and emitted a red light. Now, everything is starting to make sense. You feel that the statue's job is not to judge whether someone has awakened. He has done it or not, but his work is to measure the power of their class. Red light means rare class, and gold light means unique class, and this statue is a relic that has been here since before time. Nowadays, the concept of class identification doesn't exist, so the statue's only purpose is to separate awakened people from those who are not awakened. People have misunderstood the meaning of the red light. They think it signifies pure blood awakening, while actually it indicates that someone has received a rare class. The most interesting thing is that the head of the clan family is still unaware of this fact. He sees that he has received 100 karma points. He thinks that perhaps he received these points during the ceremony and decides to use them to purchase a draconian skill. After the purchase, the information in the system changes. Now he has a set of beginner skills, such as Dragon Eyes, Might of the Dragon, and Devavor. He understands the first two skills, but the third skill, Devavor, he doesn't understand because that skill will help him digest something. He doesn't want to invest his points in something he is not sure about, so he chooses Dragon Eyes and Might of the Dragon. Using the second skill is risky because it involves Raw and he doesn't have Raw yet. For now, he activates Dragon Eyes to see what's special about it. Initially, Zack doesn't feel anything special, nor does he notice any new difference in his senses or his surroundings. But when he opens the window to look at the statue in the garden, the skill enhances his magnification, allowing him to see distant things up close. He also receives detailed information about the object. Information about the statue's construction comes to his mind. Using this power severely affects his nerves, and he feels completely exhausted. Fortunately, his healing factor kicks in and cures his exhaustion. Surprisingly, Zack hadn't even thought about activating healing. It activated on its own. While looking at the system screen, he sees that all his class skills have converted into passive abilities and have also leveled up. The healing factor can now repair his body without activation. It is a better version of his previous skill. Although healing seems very overpowered, OP, it cannot be used continuously, otherwise he wouldn't have died in his previous life. The healing factor has become a passive skill, and to test it, Zack takes a blade and makes a slight cut on his hand. Seconds later, the healing factor automatically starts working and completely heals the cut, leaving no scar. It usually takes 5 years to graduate from the academy, but Zack is confident that he can do it in 2 years. Drecker Academy is the best knight academy. Any enthusiastic knight is willing to do anything to get admitted. This academy is in the center of Troy City, which fills with new life every new semester. When Zack is walking among other students, he sees that higher-ranked students are no less than knights. If we compare these people to the students from the cradle, they just seem like children from great families. Zack thinks that his entire family is scattered. There are 3 great branch families that support the Drecker family, known as the Great Families. The first is the Turn of Strength, which is prestigious to be a part of. The second is the Jammin of Wisdom, and the third is the Vaki family of Gold. The children of these 3 families are also here, but Zack is not willing to think about them even for a second. The scene now shifts to the high-class dorm Platinum Mansion. This high-class dorm has a training hall, a large library, and all kinds of premium facilities available. The best pure-blood awakeners get an additional privilege, the title of Floor Master. This floor is known as the Platinum Floor. A maid welcomes our hero and takes him to his assigned floor where others are waiting. Upon arriving here, Zack feels tired seeing so many people. He is informed that Drecker is waiting for him in another room. Without wasting time, Zack goes to meet him. The butler wants to show his master something. He shows him the premium gloves he acquired during the awakening. Zack already has new gloves, but now his eyes are on a new sword. He chooses his blade, and the butler supports him without any questions. The second part of Troy is close to the hills, so there is no shortage of good iron and skilled craftsmen here, which enhance Alma's power. Drecker wants to find a craftsman for the young master, but Zack will go himself to find a blacksmith. The butler has never heard the name Galen Lambert before. He wants to see them personally and will fix an appointment by contacting this person. He also reminds Zack to look at the documents once before his first class starts tomorrow. Later, Zack is reading notes when he finds something interesting. The Platinum Floor is reserved for him. Now he can test and develop his new draconian skills. A maid informs the young master that Rhina has sent him a dinner invitation. Zack is shocked and decides to visit. He arrives at her floor and is a bit surprised because Rhina is playing some strange game there. She welcomes him and apologizes for the unique dinner setting. Zack has no objection and takes his seat. The two of them eat first and then talk. Observing Rhina sitting across the table, Zack realizes that she is using raw in her stomach, and that too at such a high level while we are having a casual dinner. He thinks that perhaps she is trying to become a purple knight, which could explain why her sword skills have reached their limit. By doing this, she is wasting her potential. After finishing dinner, Zack is exhausted and surprised because Rhina has eaten more than him. When both are full, Rhina wants to get to the actual point of the conversation. She offers Zack the full support of the Toon family. Zack thinks it's a misunderstanding and reminds her that both of them are pure-blood awakeners. Rhina replies that he is wrong. As purebloods, they get many privileges, including the Platinum Floor, but they don't get resources to grow. Rhina offers Zack the support of the Toon family. Rhina repeats her point, but our hero's mood is not affected by her feelings. Rhina is shocked. She can't understand why he is not accepting this deal. It's for his own benefit. Zack gets up from his seat, intending to leave, and says he is not interested in this deal. To repay the favor of the meal, he shares a personal piece of advice. Zack tells her that Rhina uses her sword with power, and perhaps it's in her family's blood that they prioritize power and strength above all else. Zack tells her that actually, Rhina's greatest strength is her flexible body. He tells her that instead of attacking her enemy directly, she should use her light body to attack them. Zack thinks that if she does this, she will become even stronger than before. Saying this, he leaves, leaving Rhina angry. Rhina wants to use her strength, which her family is using. She has done this until now, but she cannot ignore Zack's words. She also feels that to make a name in the family, she took family training, which is why her sword style has become like this. Zack had caught on to this. When Rhina was young and pressured as a genius, no one gave her any advice. After meeting Zack, her way of thinking has changed, and now she is ready to consider Zack's suggestions. The scene now shifts to Zack. He is thinking about how powerful he has become with his new skills. Now even a full night of training couldn't stop him. He now has endless stamina, which only he possesses in this world. In his previous life, this place was only hell for him, but now with his new awakened state, it's completely chill. Zack is now enjoying the peace that cannot be bought with money or power. While he is busy with his work, a representative from the Jin's family approaches him. Owen, who is the third son of the family and expert in deception, had threatened Zack in his previous life. Interestingly, he had also invited him to dinner, but Zack had refused. In this life, Owen is behaving very friendly. Zack understands which invitation letter the representative of the Jin's family is talking about. Owen asks why he didn't reply, so Zack answers that he doesn't care about his messages. Zack's disrespectful answer catches the attention of Owen's friend, who thinks, why this boy is behaving so badly in response to a polite invitation. Zach takes the card from him, but Zach has no interest in going to the party. He leaves thinking that the representative of the Jin's family is trying to become Owen's lackey. Suddenly, he shows courage and attacks Zach. Zach blocks the attack, even though he attacked his stomach with aura. Darpin Roswell shouts his name and says that he is the greatest knight. Perhaps he is the biggest fool. Our little Drecker laughs at his short speech and says that this man is not even a knight, he is just a cadet. Zach quickly moves forward and punches this man in the stomach, a punch that could rival Mike Tyson's. He throws him to the ground while Zach happily challenges the next member of the Jammin family to come and taste the thrill of fighting him. Owen approaches him and says that Zach is very arrogant about his strength, and he is not impressed by it. The group leaves Zach alone. Zach considers them nothing more than clowns from a circus. Let's talk a little about the inside of Drekkar Academy. It is divided into 2 classes. The first is the normal class, where those who lack talent are taught. That class runs on hard work and discipline. The second is the special class, where certain special cadets can choose their own subjects besides the basic subjects. The top people and elites of this academy gather in the special class. That's why Zach also hoped that there would be some special people here, but he saw the same old people he knew from the cradle. He even jokes that this is not a special class, but a cradle class. The class begins and the instructor introduces a special man on the podium. This mysterious man was once the commander-in-chief of the Empire 20 years ago, and he is the same man who stopped the attack on the Empire with his amazing strategy. Dean Howard Drekkar is welcomed. He's the head of this academy and is known as the war hero. Howard is considered a beacon of hope and a master of tactical warfare. But the truth is, he's far more despicable than he is famous. To save his own life, he leaked information to the enemy and escaped by luck. Simply put, he was lucky that people didn't find out. Zach hates him immensely, because in his previous life, this man was responsible for getting him expelled from the academy. With nowhere else to go, Zach was wandering in the Troy forest. There, slave traders captured him and sold him to the Southern cartel. This man's existence is linked to a painful moment in Zach's life, and he will definitely take revenge on this fat carrot. The dean's speech ends and the teacher starts the class. The cadets are told to go to the arena for training. In the arena, Zach is surprised that he has to learn the basics of dragon slaying. In his previous life, he couldn't use Ra and wasted 2 years, while a normal human takes 3 months. The instructor welcomes the students and introduces his name as Rose Knight Andre Drekkar. He will teach them the basics of dragon slaying. The students are a little nervous because they don't know anything about this guy. Hearing the name, Zach remembers that Andre is not a pure-blooded awakener, yet he graduated from the academy early and became the valedictorian from Walhalla. He's not from the Drekkar family either, but his talent is so amazing that he earned the Drekkar family name. This is the guy your girlfriend says not to worry about. Zach believes that the teachers of the special class are all on a different level, but this guy is famous for his bad behavior. Andre demonstrates to them and tells them to be quiet so he can start the class. He tells the cadets to draw their swords. His gaze falls on Zach's special sword, which is much larger than the other swords. Zach shows how easy it is for him to wield this sword. Andre angrily tells him to come into the arena and thinks this boy is being overconfident bringing a sword larger than himself. But this is a typical teacher thing, and Zach didn't pick this sword intentionally. In his previous life, he also used a similar sword. He boasted arrogantly, "I can defeat the instructor with this weapon." Hearing this, Andre got angry. The scene became so tense that Zach's system activated his mental defense skill to handle the situation. Andre also got ready, drawing his sword to show this boy that there's a difference between talking and doing. But this is exactly what Zach wanted. The instructor sets a condition for Zach's victory. He will ignore the boy's arrogant words and allow him to do anything in his class. The instructor also says that he will go easy and will not use his Ra. But this is totally playing to Zach's advantage. He's so confident in his ability that he can defeat Andre because he knows his weakness. But because his brother is watching, He doesn't want to risk unnecessary attention, so his strategy is to cut Andre's uniform a little and then surrender. The fight begins. Zack strikes at his teacher's neck, but Andre, showing his blue knights, deflects his strike. The fight is about to get tough, and Zack knows it. He attacks from all sides, but every time, his teacher deflects all his attacks with quick reaction time. The other cadets are amazed to see the knight handling Zack's attacks so brilliantly for 30 minutes. Interestingly, Andre feels his blade vibrating and his body getting tired. He doesn't understand how this boy is performing so strongly even after being so exhausted. The fight is becoming difficult for Andre. This shows how capable the pure-blooded awakeners of the Drakkar family are, and they cannot be compared to anyone else. Zack is taking advantage of his teacher's low stamina. Speaking of raw, the Drakkar family's raw cultivation makes it as easy as breathing. Now that Andre isn't using his raw, he feels weak. This is beneficial for Zack. Andre deflects Zack's blade once more, but Zack doesn't give up. His ego demands that his opponent be forced to use raw. Zack changes his strategy to make Andre use his raw. He jumps from the ground, activates his swift step skill, and attacks with lightning speed from Andre's blind spot. Andre is confused, and Zack activates a critical strike, putting all his power into one attack. Andre is astonished that a cadet can use such an advanced skill. As he turns towards Zack, he dodges the attack by putting a little aura in his leg. Then, without waiting any longer, Andre activates Sky Slice and sends Zack flying. It was such a powerful attack that Zack's sword got damaged and he was injured so badly that his healing factor activated. Zack falls in the arena while Andre sheaths his sword and starts to leave angrily. Andre announces that from now on, whether Zack attends his class or not is his choice. Then he asks if anyone else wants to try this, because everyone is so scared after seeing what happened to Zack that no one even speaks up. They are so terrified by his anger that no one dares to challenge him. After this, the class resumes, but our hero, Zack, is chilling on a hospital bed and is happy with his performance. His original plan to cut Andre's uniform was wasted, but he forced Andre to use his raw. This was a good result because he had cornered his teacher in the fight. But Andre's last attack, the Sky Slice, is the most basic move of the dragon-slaying arts. Sky Slice is a basic technique, but when a blue knight uses it, it becomes very powerful. He relies on his infinite stamina and healing factor, but he knows that just these two things are not enough. If he wants to live freely, he must become stronger. He wants power that no one can withstand. While he's lost in thoughts, a stranger comes to meet him. Zack is shocked because a drunkard is the last thing he wants to see in a hospital ward. He couldn't sense this man's presence. This man says some bad things about the Drakkar family's patria. Zack tries to ask who this man is, but this drunkard is busy eating and drinking. This man wants to ask about Zack's regenerative abilities, because how did he survive such a serious attack? The system activates mental defense according to the situation. Zack doesn't tell him anything because he knows that no one in the academy knows about his healing skill. When Zack acts like he doesn't know anything, the man doesn't like it and attacks him to force the truth out. Zack dodges his palm strike, which is so sharp that it cuts the bed. He thinks, is this man an assassin? He uses the bedsheet to blind this madman. He activates all his skills and gets ready to attack. But this man, who is now blind, easily catches Zack's blade and praises his ability to learn quickly. Zack, nervous, runs back and wonders what this means. When this man calls him soldier, Zack feels that this mysterious man knows something about his past. Despite being a Drakkar, he leaves his sword and runs to save his life. Actually, this man wants to suggest that Zack become a soldier instead of a knight. This man believes that Zack is more suited to become a soldier than a knight. Our hero finally understands his words, and from the feeling he gets from that mysterious man, Zack realizes who this man is. The power gap between them is so large that the man could easily kill Zack if he wanted. Zack thinks this man is probably at the level of a red knight. The man looking at Zack's large sword asks why he is using a sword larger than himself. He thinks that Zack, who has such insane talent, is wasting his potential by using such a weapon. Zack becomes confirmed that this man is a powerful person. But suddenly, Andre arrives, and he's looking for that mysterious man. Zach is shocked to hear this. When Andre calls that mysterious man the gardener or doctor, he can't believe it. Meanwhile, the doctor asks Andre how he found him. Andre remembers that he had seen the doctor in the training room earlier. He orders Zach to leave if his injuries are healed. Our hero tries to get out of this strange situation, but the doctor stops him and says that he wants to learn something useful. He can come to the Academy's Western greenhouse. There is a moment of silence, but then Zach refuses the offer and starts to leave. The doctor gets angry and then remembers Zach's father, who used to behave the same way. Because Zach is no longer a gullible child, he quickly understands that if the gardener can take Arthur Patria's name so easily, then he must be the same person who in his entire life only took Andre as his student. Duke Dracar, the Gale Knight. This is the one who can use martial force. This madman once fought alone against the entire kingdom. Then he had suddenly disappeared when everyone was talking about him. Zach never thought he would be living such a quiet life in the academy. He thinks that perhaps Andre also came here because of the doctor. He wonders if the doctor got the Duke title because of his power or something else. He had heard a rumor that this madman became a Black Knight just because he liked the black color.